does sex get started in long-term relationships? Is it with a passionate kiss or a tender "I love you"? Or maybe something a little bit more risque? The reality is, most of us get stumped at this question. Although as a sex therapist and researcher, I'm usually asking it in a private office, not an auditorium full of people. Whichever way works for you, how sex starts is extremely important. It is the gatekeeper which determines whether couples in long-term relationships are either having sex or they're not. In the beginning of our relationship, it's different. It's easier. Sex just seems to happen. The newness of it all, the desire to be physically close, and that growing intimacy are all fanning the flames. But something changes at that 1 to 2 year mark, and this is for almost all couples. That natural spark naturally starts to dim. It's as if we trade in the new and the exciting for the secure and the comfortable. That sports car has become a minivan, and the sexy lingerie has somehow turns into fuzzy flannel pajamas. They're just more comfortable. This change is natural, even predictable. But if we don't do something different at this time, if we don't change something, we are in danger of losing our sexual connection with our partner. That special intimacy that we generally don't share with anybody else. There is one phrase I hear in my office more than any other, and that is, "I just want what we had before." Makes sense, you had it once. This time it was Jamie who said it. Jamie came into my office with his wife, Tara, declaring they were the best of friends after 7 years of marriage. They had had great sex at the beginning of their relationship, but now they really didn't, rarely. They felt more like roommates than a couple. Tara talked about how she loved Jamie, liked sex, just not whenever Jamie brought it up. And Jamie was devastated. He missed their connection, and he felt rejected by the person he loved the most. As he spoke, Tara seemed to sink into the couch with guilt. They were both there blaming Tara's low desire for the problem, and they were there to fix her. Fix. So I asked, how do you start sex? Long pause, puzzled looks. Finally, it was Jamie who offered, well, it starts the way sex is supposed to start. I said, oh, how is sex supposed to start? With kissing, of course. It was that "of course" that caught my attention. It implied that all of us should start sex with kissing. But I knew many individuals and whole cultures that don't even include kissing as a part of sex. So I asked, do you like to kiss? Oh, I love kissing. He even added gentle kisses, so I knew precisely what he was talking about. It was that moment that I was able to witness someone's erotic brain lighting up in front of my eyes. Now, the erotic brain is what I call that neural network that readies the mind and the body for sex. Seeing his blissful expression over here, I needed to find out what was happening on the other side, a very different expression over here. How do you feel about kissing, Tara? It was when I heard "it's fine," that problematic F word, the real problematic F word, fine. That said it all. So what was happening? Tara and Jamie truly wanted to have sex, and Tara could not be diagnosed with low desire. The reason these two weren't having sex was because Tara's erotic brain was not being lit up, and they had no way of talking about it. Now, the erotic brain is very different from the everyday brain. Think back to the last time you were really turned on. Just remember, we're in public. You may recall the many ways your mind and your body felt different from your everyday experience. For example, when you're truly in your erotic brain, your attention becomes very, very focused. Your skin can feel more pleasure, and you actually sense less pain. And your erotic brain is unique to you. Each one of us has our own turn-on pattern that was developed earlier in life. How? Through positively reinforced experiences at critical developmental periods. So when you had a good experience that was sexual and pleasurable and around the right time, your brain went, ooh, that's what sexy is. I'm going to remember that one. Now, this can expand later in life with either good or bad experiences, but it generally stays pretty constant. For Jamie, sex started with gentle kisses because that's what lights up his erotic brain. The problem was that that wasn't the same for Tara. For Tara, gentle kisses were nice, maybe to show love, but they weren't a turn on. They were fine. But when we talked further, Tara found that she had her own erotic brain, and it lit up when Jamie took control and showed his desire for her in no uncertain terms. She even glowed at one point as she was discussing early on in their relationship when Jamie had pushed her against the wall with passion. He didn't do that anymore. And sex needs both people to be in their erotic brain. It might seem obvious, but because we don't talk about it, because we don't have a language for it, most people assume that what works for their erotic brain is the same thing that works for their partner's. Or they rely on a gender stereotype. Either way, these assumptions are problematic. Tara didn't light up with gentle kissing Jamie. She sparked with take charge Jamie. Now, seeing how many couples were repeatedly stuck at the initiation stages of sex, I needed to find a tool that would help couples understand and talk about their erotic brain. So I put together a survey called the Questionnaire for Turn-On Initiation Preference, mouthful, renamed Q-Tip. Q-Tip asks, in many ways, how you would prefer your partner approach you for sex, your turn-on. Now, I needed to test this out, so I put it out online and I attached to some articles and hoped for 100 responses. 10,000 people responded in short order. This is clearly an issue for a lot of people. So what did I learn from sifting through all the data? First, very few people are satisfied with the way that their partner initiates sex. And second, there are 4 distinct ways that the erotic brain lights up. I named them: sensation, sentiment, sexotic, and surrender. I know, sounds more like a perfume line. But what it really is how our erotic brain lights up when we're with a partner. So what lights up your erotic brain? Is it sensation, the sensual side of sex? Like sidling up to your lover, feeling the heat between your two bodies, touching your lover's skin or inhaling their scent? The raw embodiment of sex? Or what about sentiment? Does your erotic brain light up when you feel emotionally connected, when you feel loved, seen, important? With declarations of I adore you, eye-gazing, or gentle kisses? Or maybe you're sexotic. You think sex. Ideas, images, concepts such as novelty, seduction, taboo, role-playing your favorite act, or talking dirty and telling your lover exactly what you want to do to them. Or then there is surrender. Now, surrender, your erotic brain lights up also when you think sex, but it's coupled with letting go of thought, not thinking, being passive to a lover who's actively taking charge and leading the way. Now, we all respond to each one of these to some degree, but there tends to be 1 or 2 that are dominant, that tells our brain, this is what sexy is. This is exciting. This is going to be fun. for Tara and Jamie, they could change the question from whether they wanted to have sex or not to how they wanted to light up their erotic brains together, bypassing the rejection and the guilt, and instead inspired to find a new way to reconnect their erotic selves. Why not embrace the comfort of our long-standing relationships while discovering a better, new, and exciting spark? One way to do that is with Q-tip. Discover which of the 4 ways best lights up your erotic brain. Is it sensation, sentiment, sexotic, or surrender? And what lights up your partner's? It's powerful information to have. If we tend to our sexual sparks, they will grow. They're not going to look like they did at the beginning, but they could even be better, stronger, longer lasting. Because not everyone wants to kiss first. Thank you.